New numbers today show that the gross domestic product, that measures the nation's total economic output, it shrank by just under 1%. That's down for the second quarter in a row, and that is one definition of a recession. President Biden addressing those numbers a short while ago, along with Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. For more, let's bring in ABC News business reporter Alexis Christoforous, ABC News White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks, and Aditya Bave, senior U.S. and global economist for Bank of America. Well, welcome to all. Alexis, let me just begin with you. That new data, the economy slowed down for the second straight quarter. What should people make of that?
Well, I think the technical recession, the technical definition of a recession is here. That is two back-to-back quarters of a shrinking economy. That is certainly what we got. The economy shrank by 1.6% in Q1, quarter two, down by 0.9%. But yet we continue to see parts of the economy holding up nicely. Consumer spending still quite strong as consumers still dig into those savings that they were able to stockpile during the pandemic. And we also have a very strong job market, something Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and President Biden spoke about today. So, you know, in terms of the classic recession where you have a slowing economy and a slow job market, that is definitely not the case right now. But as we've been talking about all day, maybe it doesn't matter whether or not we're in a formal recession. What matters is how people feel about it. How do Americans feel about it? And many of them are struggling right now and would probably say, yes, we are in a recession.
Exactly. And Aditya, if I could ask you as an economist, a lot of mixed signals in the economy right now. And then the political parties in the run-up to the midterm fighting about it. The Republicans want to call it a recession and blame it on Biden. Biden and his team don't want to call it a recession. As an economist, what do you see in this economy?
Right. So the National Bureau of Economic Research makes a determination as to whether we're in a recession or not. That's the official call. They use a variety of indicators, including job growth, which has been very strong, consumer spending, which has been decent, income growth, which has again been okay. So it looks like per that definition, we're not in a recession yet. That being said, we do actually expect the economy to go into conditions that the NBER would call a recession in the second half of this year.
So more slowdown ahead. All right, well, that's right in time for the midterms, it sounds like. As we talk about both here, and Mary Alice, let me go to politics and you. The administration looking at this mixed bag and perhaps at that forecast from Aditya. What do you make of the tone from the administration today?
Yeah, they're trying to reassure consumers and voters. They're trying to say, look, there's a lot of positive signs in the economy, like Alexis was talking about. They're trying to say this is a complicated picture, and they're trying to put sort of these economic headlines in a larger context, saying, don't blame us, don't blame the White House or President Biden, that this was a really tough few years for the U.S. economy, for the global economy, to have to shrink and shut down during the pandemic and open up quickly, supply chain issues. They're trying to sort of say everyone should take a deep breath here and not worry themselves into a recession. But look, it is tough politics right now. People are tired of paying these gas prices. They're tired of the sticker shock when they go to the grocery store, and they're freaked out. And the president and Democrats know that is an uphill battle for them politically heading into the midterms.
The grocery store, the gas station, trying to buy all kinds of things. Alexis, we saw the Federal Reserve yesterday raise interest rates yet again to fight inflation, trying to cool the economy off. They raised them by 0.75 of a point. The question that we've asked you before, you know, what's the end game here for the Fed? Are they going to be able to cool the economy off without tanking it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? To stick the landing, have that soft landing they're talking about. It's still yet to be seen. But, you know, I do want to mention something we haven't talked about today. Terry, I took a deeper dive into that GDP number just to see how we did shrink this economy last quarter. And a lot of it, in fact, mostly all of it, is because companies were not buying up goods at the same rate they had been. Remember, companies stocked up aggressively at the end of last year to get around all those supply chain problems, to meet anticipated soaring consumer demand. Now they're stuck with a lot of inventory that isn't moving because we're not buying the same way we were during the height of the pandemic. So they're buying less and they're cutting prices. We heard this week Walmart's going to have to start cutting prices to move out some of that inventory that it's got. Do you know that if businesses had not been trimming stockpiles, the economy would have actually grown last quarter? I think that's a really important point to make because the consumer still seems to be quite resilient as so many of us continue to work.
And Aditya, let me go back to you on something the Bank of America said in a statement today, that there is a small chance that the Fed will be sticking that soft landing. Your statement noting that Fed Chair Jerome Powell's strong focus on the inflation mandate therefore supports our Bank of America's forecast that the economy will in fact go into recession in the second half of this year. So what are you watching for, and how sure are you of that?
So what I'd be watching for is the consumer and business side of the economy. I mean, getting back to the point that was made earlier, there were some strange distortions in the GDP data. I think one useful measure is something that's known as final sales to private domestic purchasers, which is basically consumer spending plus residential investment plus CapEx. So that's the heart of the private economy. That was flat in the second quarter after growing actually by 3% in the first quarter. So there's a clear deceleration going on. And the question is, where do we go next? Part of that is going to be a function of gas prices. And then part of that is going to be a function of the extent to which Fed tightening affects residential investment or business investment. So those are the factors I would be watching for. Inflation, how much does it affect consumer spending? Because dollar demand is still pretty strong. It is the fact that inflation is eating into the dollar demand that's really hurting the consumer. And then you want to look at the investment side of the economy, residential and business investment, to see how much that's being hurt by weaker demand as well as Fed tightening.
Fair enough. And Alexis, let me go to you on the inflation question. Well, once it gets into economy, it can be very hard to get out. Have you got any sense of people you talk to? Do you have any sense of when we might finally see the price of stuff going down?
Now have 4 interest rate hikes by the Federal Reserve this year alone. We have to give those time to trickle through the economy, and we're starting to see that as mortgage rates moved up. They've doubled nearly since the beginning of the year. People responded, and home buying has pulled back. Consumer spending has now shifted to different things as prices continue to rise, and those gas prices coming down from that record high of more than $5 a gallon last month, a huge help. If gas prices can stabilize, energy and gas prices are such a big part of the inflation story. If they can start to come down a bit, great news all the way around for the inflation picture. And even Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen today alluded to the fact that prices should start to come down in the weeks and months ahead. I think we just need to be patient here and let those higher interest rates from the Fed, like I said, trickle through the economy.
Well, we'll all be watching those prices and the economy and the politics of it. Alexis, Aditya, Mary Alice, thanks very much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.